When you learn to balance yourself, your mental, your temper, your happiness, and you know how to stay even keel, even if somebody is disrespecting you, you can apply that to life, right? You can apply it to nations and see how they're rising and falling based off of what they're doing and saying. I'm saying that because through being able to do that, you can see that Benjamin Netanyahu is up for election. He wants to go to war with Iran. Iran doesn't want to go to war with anybody. America's trying to expose the 9/11 situation as well as expose the Israelis' play or hand in the American cookie jar, as it would be. We often overlook the reality of life because we're consumed and bombarded with information and things that is not pertinent to our security or our self-benefit. Our self-benefit is self-preservation. T.I. and Killer Mike being on Revolt and having this conversation with Candace Owens and also talking about nationality is important because this just shows the signs of the times. If you look at the rest of the world, they're all in panic. The only people that are not in panic is us. Is our people. We're the only ones that are waking up to the fact that there's more to us than what meets the eye. They talked about the Constitution and they talked about nationality. With Diddy there, with T.I. there, with Killer Mike there, with Candace Owens there, a known Trump supporter. Add to that, France is in upheaval. London is being decimated in this exchange war that America has going on with China. Sometimes we don't look at the totality of the picture to look at it. We look at the pieces of the puzzle and think that we have the whole scope of things. Can you look at a piece of a puzzle and say that you have the full picture of the puzzle? Can you say you see the cat that's not in that piece of the puzzle? We have to start to think logically about what it means to be a man and a woman on earth. Because obviously the progressive way of thinking about being a man and a woman is absurd. There is no men, there is no women, there's 100 genders. The question would be now, would not this be the perfect time for the quote-unquote savior to show up? But he hasn't, nor will he. This is the balance you have to find within yourself, within the law of man. We all know this is true, what I'm saying, but we rather chase after the mighty dollar instead of saying, well, how do we put ourselves back in position to help ourselves and not want for anything or need for anything? Too often we think about what is said to be our responsibility, when our responsibility should be only to one's self. Think, man. That's all we ask. That's all those that see the future ask, is to think. Israel is going crazy. Iran is going crazy. Trade war with China. Europe going crazy. Russia, you don't hear too much news. China buying up Africa. Venezuela going crazy. South America, Brazil, the Brazilian rainforest. Then they just signed a deal where they're talking about developing the Amazon. Hurricanes, earthquakes, corruption, pedophile rings, elite pedophile rings. When do we look at all of this and say, well, what is it that we are doing wrong? Instead of saying, what are they doing wrong? Because only one can govern theirself. A nation must govern itself in order to be a nation. See, America, the United States doesn't govern itself. It governs the world instead of governing itself. But then when it does govern itself, what are they doing? Oppressing, keeping down, not educating, murdering, stealing. When do we wake up and say, hold up, we don't need anybody that can tell us what to do or not to do anymore? We don't need anybody to govern us. We can govern ourselves. We have now 2019, and we don't have a government. We don't have a police force. We don't have an army. We don't have a tech company. We don't have a government. We don't have anything that is pertinent to what human beings need to exist in this reality. Period. Time is now.